There is a reason your dog keeps doing the same things again and again. The paw on your leg, the quiet stare, the sigh by the door, the toy dropped at your feet, the way it follows you from room to room. To many people, these look like small habits, cute habits, sometimes annoying habits, but very often they are not random at all. They are messages, because dogs may not speak in words, but they are constantly telling us what they need. Not just food, not just walks, not just play. Sometimes what they want is comfort, sometimes clarity, sometimes safety, sometimes connection, and sometimes what looks like bad behavior is actually a very honest emotional request. That is the part many people miss. We often look at a dog's action and judge the surface of it. Too clingy, too needy, too hyper, too stubborn, too dramatic. But if you slow down and look underneath the action, the question changes. You stop asking, "Why is my dog acting like this?" And you start asking, "What is my dog trying to say?" That question changes everything, because behavior is one of the clearest windows into a dog's inner world. Dogs are deeply social animals. Over thousands of years, they evolved not only to live near humans, but to read us with extraordinary sensitivity. They notice tone, timing, body language, routine, distance, tension, emotional energy, and then they respond with their own behavior. So when a dog does something repeatedly, especially around you, it is often trying to move the relationship or the environment in a certain direction. It is asking for something. The first thing many dogs ask for through behavior is reassurance. This is especially true when a dog leans against you, rests a paw on you, follows you closely, or stares at you during uncertain moments. People sometimes think this means the dog is being overly dependent. But often, the deeper truth is much simpler. The dog is checking. Are we okay? Are you okay? Am I safe with you right now? From a psychological point of view, dogs often use proximity to regulate emotion. Being near a trusted human can lower stress, restore predictability, and help the nervous system settle. So when your dog comes closer during thunder, after a stressful day, in a new place, or when your mood feels different, it may not just want touch. It may want stability. Your presence becomes the answer. Another thing dogs often ask for is clarity. This is one of the most misunderstood needs in dogs. When a dog seems restless, keeps pacing, looks at you and then at the door, runs to one room and back, or becomes noisy without an obvious reason, people may assume the dog is simply difficult. But many times, the dog is not asking for more excitement. It is asking for clearer information. Dogs feel safer when life makes sense. They thrive on patterns, predictable cues, and understandable outcomes. If the routine changes, if your signals are inconsistent, if the home feels emotionally confusing, some dogs become unsettled, not because they are dramatic, but because uncertainty is hard on the canine nervous system. A dog that keeps looking at you, then at the leash, then back at you, may not just be asking for a walk. It may be asking, "Is this happening or not?" A dog that whines by the kitchen at a different time than usual may not only want food, it may be reacting to a broken pattern. Sometimes what dogs want most is not more stimulation, but more predictability. And then there is connection. This is perhaps the deepest need hidden inside many everyday behaviors. When your dog brings you a toy, nudges your hand, rolls onto its back near you, or simply lies where it can watch you, it is not always asking for an activity. Sometimes it is asking for shared attention. Dogs are relational creatures. For many of them, interaction itself is rewarding. Your eye contact, your voice, your response, your participation in the moment, all matter. This is why some dogs seem to want to be where you are, even when nothing interesting is happening. You are the interesting thing. To a bonded dog, being included in your space can feel emotionally significant. It is a way of staying connected to the center of its world. That is also why some dogs follow their humans everywhere. Not always because they are anxious, not always because they need something practical, but because togetherness itself has value. Of course, sometimes following can reflect insecurity, especially if the dog becomes distressed when separated. But in many cases, it is simply social attachment expressed through movement. Your dog is saying, I want to be where life is happening. And for me, life is happening near you. There is another powerful need dogs often express through behavior: the need for emotional reading. Dogs do not only want things from us, sometimes they want to understand us. This is why a dog may watch you intensely when you are quiet, sad, angry, sick, or behaving differently than usual. People often say, my dog knows something is wrong. And in many cases, that is true in a very real behavioral sense. Dogs are excellent observers of human change. They notice when your voice is flatter, when your posture collapses, when your walking speed changes, when you stop doing the things you usually do, and when those patterns shift. Dogs often respond by watching, staying close, or acting differently themselves. Not because they understand every human problem in a human way, but because they are highly tuned to change in the person they depend on. So if your dog watches you in silence on your hardest days, it may be asking, what is happening to you? And what does it mean for us? In that way, watching is not passive, it is emotional work. Some behaviors are requests for space, not closeness. This matters too, because not every dog is asking for more contact all the time. If a dog turns its head away, licks its lips, yawns, moves off the couch, avoids your hands, or retreats to another room, it is not always being rude, distant, or unaffectionate. Sometimes it is communicating a boundary. It may be saying, I need less pressure. I need a break. I need this interaction to slow down. Dogs have emotional thresholds, just like people. And a healthy relationship includes learning when your dog is seeking connection and when it is protecting its comfort. One of the kindest things we can do is respect the request hidden inside avoidance. Because sometimes what a dog really wants is not to be touched more, but to feel heard. Many dogs also use behavior to ask for agency. This is a huge psychological need that often gets ignored. Agency means having some control over what happens next. The choice to approach. The choice to move away. The choice to sniff. The choice to pause. The choice to engage. A dog that resists being rushed, hesitates before entering a place, or stops walking during an overwhelming moment is not always being stubborn. It may be saying, I need more time. I need more information. I need some control here. When dogs have no choice at all, stress often rises. When they are allowed some participation in the process, confidence grows. So sometimes the behavior we call disobedience is actually a request for dignity. Another common request hidden in dog behavior is rest. This surprises people because many owners assume every energetic behavior means the dog needs more action. But overtired dogs can look a lot like under-exercised dogs. They become mouthy, wild, unable to settle, easily frustrated, or suddenly reactive. What they may really need is not a longer game, but help coming down from stimulation. Sleep is not a luxury for dogs. It is essential for emotional regulation, learning, and nervous system recovery. So, when your dog seems unable to settle, the question is not always, how do I tire this dog out more? Sometimes it is, has this dog had enough calm, enough decompression, enough safety to truly rest? Dogs also ask for trust through behavior. A dog that checks in with you on walks, returns to you after exploring, glances back during uncertain moments, or chooses to lie near you while relaxing, is showing something important. It is not just trained behavior. Often, it reflects an emotional pattern. The dog sees you as a secure reference point, and that is not a small thing. Trust in dogs is built through repeated experience, predictable care, fair responses, emotional safety, respect for signals, shared routines. So when a dog looks to you before making sense of a new situation, it may be asking, "Can I borrow your calm? Can I use your presence to understand this?" And when you answer gently, the bond deepens. Some of the most touching behaviors in dogs are really requests for comfort that they do not know how to express more clearly. A dog that steals your sock, lies on your clothes, waits outside the bathroom, or curls up in your usual seat may not just be acting silly. Scent matters enormously to dogs. Your smell is familiar, grounding, and emotionally meaningful. So when your dog seeks out things that smell like you, especially when alone, tired, or uncertain, it may be asking for closeness through scent. That is not manipulation. That is attachment. And then there are the behaviors that people label as attention-seeking, as if attention were something trivial. But attention is not trivial to a social animal. Attention can mean connection, safety, information, regulation, inclusion. So yes, sometimes your dog barks, nudges, paws, or interrupts because it wants your attention. But the better question is, why does attention matter in that moment? Is the dog bored, confused, overstimulated, lonely, uncertain, excited, seeking reassurance? The action may be simple. The need underneath it may not be. This is why reading dog psychology requires compassion, not just control. Because behavior is rarely only about obedience. It is about need, emotion, environment, history, and relationship. The same action can mean different things in different dogs. A paw can mean play, or stress, or affection, or appeasement. Following can mean love, or uncertainty, or habit, or anxiety. Staring can mean anticipation, or confusion, or emotional checking. Context changes meaning. That is why the most accurate way to understand a dog is not to memorize one behavior at a time, but to read patterns. What happened before this? What changes when I respond differently? What is my dog feeling in its body right now? What need keeps showing up again and again? When you start seeing behavior this way, dogs become much easier to understand and much harder to judge unfairly. Because behind so many behaviors, there is no manipulation, no drama, no bad intention. There is just a dog trying, in the only language it has, to shape the world toward comfort, clarity, safety, and connection. And maybe that is the most beautiful thing to remember. Your dog is not trying to win against you. It is trying to live with you, to be understood by you, to stay connected to you, to feel safe beside you. So the next time your dog paws at you, follows you, stares at you, leans into you, waits by the door, brings you a toy, or simply lies nearby and watches, pause before you dismiss it. There is a good chance that behavior is carrying a message. Maybe your dog wants reassurance, maybe structure, maybe rest, maybe choice, maybe play, maybe comfort, maybe just the quiet relief of knowing you are there. And when you learn to read those messages, something changes. You stop seeing random habits. You start seeing emotional honesty. You stop asking how to control every behavior. You start asking how to understand it. And for a dog, being understood may be one of the greatest forms of love it can receive. If your dog has a behavior that you now see differently, share it in the comments. And if you want more videos that gently decode the emotional world of dogs and cats through both science and feeling, subscribe and stay with us. Because sometimes the smallest behaviors are the clearest windows into the heart.